which I had asked me to cover during the remedial session or during the doubt session. So let me start. Okay, so the first question, okay, in your list of problems, the problem number 3, which I had told that I will cover it in the class, I'm solving that. I'll read out the question. That is problem number 3. The question: X company has net operating income of 2 lakhs on investment of rupees 10 lakhs in assets. It can raise debt at 16% rate of interest. Assume that taxes do not exist. So the first case they have asked us to find, using the net income approach, an equity capitalization rate of 18%, compute the total value of the firm and the weighted average cost of capital if the firm has no debt, has debt of rupees 3 lakhs and has debt of rupees 6 lakhs. So let us solve. Okay. So the A1, so let us write down particulars. A, B, C. Okay. So first we will try to compute the earnings which are available to equity shareholders. For that, first we'll write down the operating income. What is the operating income or EBIT that they have given us? They have given it as 2 lakhs. So 2 lakhs. Less interest. Now in the first case they have said that there is no debt. Since there is no debt, there is no interest also. In the second case they have said that there is a debt amount of rupees 3 lakhs. And in the C case they have said that there is a debt amount of rupees 6 lakhs. So since the debt amount is rupees 3 lakhs, over here the interest will be 3 lakhs into 16%. They have given KD. They have given KD as 16%, 16%, 16%. So they have given us the KD, that is the cost of debt. So we know that this is the cost of debt. Now moving on to C, there is 6 lakh rupees of debt. On this you are supposed to calculate 16%. So that will give you the C interest. So under A there is no interest amount because it is all debt, there is all equity capital, there is no debt in this case. Whereas in this case, 3 lakh into 16%, it is 48,000. So 48,000 is your interest in this case. And in this case, 6 lakh into 16%, 96,000 is your interest in this case. So that is the reason why EBIT minus interest, we will get earnings available to equity shareholders. In first case, there is no debt. So it is all equity capital. That's the reason why no interest. In the B case, they have said that the debt amount is 3 lakhs. So 3 lakh into 16%. In the C case, they have said it is 6 lakhs. That's the reason why 6 lakhs into 16%. So this is the way we will get earnings available to equity shareholders. Earnings available to equity shareholders. In the first case, since there is no interest, 2 lakhs is the amount of earnings which is available to equity shareholders. I told you, this is net income theory. In net income theory, we don't consider tax. We consider that there are only 2 sources of finance, that is debt and equity. That is the reason why after deducting the interest, whatever amount we get, that is nothing but the amount which is available to equity shareholders, or the earnings which are available to equity shareholders. Then in the B case, what are the earnings available to equity shareholders? 2 lakhs minus 48,000, you will get 1 lakh 52,000. In the C case, 2 lakh minus 96,000, you will get 1 lakh 4,000. Okay, so we got the earnings available to equity shareholders. We know cost of debt, which is 16%. They have asked us to find out the value of the firm and weighted average cost of capital. So we are required to find the value of firm and weighted average cost of capital, that is nothing but KO. Okay. In the question they have also given us KE. KE is given as 18%. So KE is given as 18%. So 18%. Now let us find out the value of the firm. In order to find out the value of the firm, we need to know the market value of equity plus market value of debt. Now market value of debt we already know. Over here it is 0, over here it is 3 lakhs, over here it is 6 lakhs. So market value of debt, it is 0 here, it is 3 lakhs here, and it is 6 lakhs here. Then coming to market value of S, that is equity. Okay. In order to find out the market value of equity, we need earnings available to equity shareholders and the KE, that is cost of equity. So this is A and this is B, and market value of equity is nothing but A divided by B. So 2 lakh divided by 18%, you will get the market value of equity over here as 1,11,111. In the second case, 1,50,000 divided by 18%, you will get it as 8,44,444 as the market value of equity. In the third case, that is C, you take the earnings available to equity shareholders divided with the cost of equity, that is KE. How much you are getting? 5,77,777. So we got the market value of debt, we got the market value of equity. This is C and this is D. So value of firm is equal to C plus D. So C plus D, 1,11,111. 3 lakh plus 8,44,444, you will get 11,44,444. 6 lakhs plus 577,777, you will get it as 11,77,777. So we got the market value of the firm, we got the market value of the debt, we got the market value of equity. Now we can compute the KO, that is overall cost. Okay, that is weighted average cost, the overall cost of raising the funds. So in the first case, let us find out KO, that is in A. KO will be cost of equity into weight of equity divided by weight of the entire firm. Weight of the entire firm. Now, weight of the equity is 1,11,111. What is the value of the entire firm? 1,11,111. What is the cost of equity? 18%. So it is going to be 18% into weight of equity 1,11,111 divided weight of the firm is also 1,11,111. So your overall in case of B, what is the market value of equity? 8,44,000. 8,44,444 divided by the total value of the firm is 11,44,444, right? Plus cost of debt. What is cost of debt? It is 16%. So 0.16 multiplied by what is the value of debt? In B case, it is 3 lakhs. Divided by the total value of the firm, it is 11,44,444. Solve this. This plus this, you will get your KO as 17.38%. So you are getting it as 17.38%. Okay. So now let us find out in the third case, that is the C case, what is the overall cost of capital, that is K. The same thing, because in this also there is debt and there is equity. So cost of equity, it is the same, that is 0.18. What is the weight of equity in this case? It is 5,77,777 divided by the total value of the firm, which is 11,77,777 plus cost of debt, which is 0.16 multiplied by weight of debt. Weight of debt is how much? 6 lakhs. Weight of debt is 6 lakhs. So 6 lakhs divided by value of the firm, which is 11,77,777. So you will get KO, that is overall cost of capital, in this case as 16.95%. 16.95%. So you can see over here, it is evident how net income theory is coming or becoming effective in this case. From the above, you can see it is very much evident that the increase in the debt leads to decrease in overall cost of capital. You can see in the first case you can see there is no debt and it has the highest overall cost of capital, which is 18%. Then you can see in case C, it has the highest debt of 6 lakhs. It has debt of 6 lakhs, which is the highest. And you can see it has the lowest overall cost of capital of 16.95%. So it does meet the net income theory. It satisfies the net income theory. So this is how you can interpret net income theory when you are required to compare basically one or two proposals or one or two cases. Okay. Now the second problem, that is the one which I gave you all in the third problem only. The second part, this is the A part that we solved. In the B part, you will solve it, but it is not net operating income, it is net income only. Okay, you all will get the answers correct in that case. The problem has an error, so you solve it for net income only. The same way you can go about with, you all can do it for net income part. Okay. Okay. So let me make this one thing very clear. Under problem number 3, part B, that is B part, I want you all to solve it as net income theory only, not as net operating income. Now the other problem which I have given you all to solve under net operating income, you all can solve it as net operating income problem. The interpretation will be as follows. For the other problem, the interpretation will be as follows, that is increase in debt will lead to increase in the cost of equity, whereas decrease in the debt will lead to decrease in the cost of equity. Okay, this is the interpretation of net operating income theory. But for the problem number 3, the B part, you will have to solve it as net income theory only. Don't solve it as net operating income, because the problem has an error. Even if you solve it, you will get the answer is at par with the net income theory and not at par with net operating income. You all can solve it and you all can see, you all will get the answer is at par with the net income theory and not with net operating income. Okay. The other problem which I have given you all to solve as net operating income, that you all can solve as net operating income. But under problem 3, the B part, you all solve it as net income only. Now let us move on to the next problem, that is problem number 7. Okay, I will start solving the problem directly because the question there is nothing much to talk about or to read about. So the first we need to find the payback period. So in the different projects are given, like project A, B, C, D. Okay, so we need to find out first the payback period for project A, for project B, for project C, for project D. So let me find out the payback period. For project A. Okay, now write this down in your notebook. Since the amount of initial capital is 10,000, okay, you can see the initial capital is 10,000. That is the initial investment or the initial cash outflow was 10,000, and that 10,000 amount is recovered in the first year itself. Okay, so the initial investment was 10,000 and that 10,000 amount is recovered in the first year itself. There is no need to calculate the payback period in that case. That is the reason why the payback period can be determined directly by looking at the problem itself. Initial investment is 10,000 and that investment is recovered in the first year itself. So you don't have to calculate it. Looking at the question itself, you can know that the payback period is 1 year in case of project A. What is payback period? I had told you. Payback period is nothing but amount of time which a project takes to recover the initial investment. In project A, the initial investment is 10,000 and it is recovered in the first year itself. So it is 1 year. So then in case of B, okay, now over here you can see there are even cash flows. That is the cash flows of first year and the cash flows of second year are the same. So we can use the formula. Initial cash outflow or investment divided by cash flows per annum. Okay, so initial investment is 10,000 divided by cash flows is 7,500. So you will get your payback period as 1.3 years. Then moving on to C. So in project C, you can see there are uneven cash flows. So for that purpose, we will need to calculate year 1, 2, 3. What are the cash flows? In year 1, the cash flows are 2,000. In year 2, the cash flows are 4,000. And in the year 3, the cash flows are 12,000. Then cumulative cash flows. Year 1, 2,000. Year 2, 4, 5, 6, 6,000. And year 3, it is 2,000 plus 6,000 plus 12,000, which is nothing but 18,000. Okay, so now let us solve the payback period in this case. Okay, I'll recovered in the next year. Amount of investment is 10,000. How much is recovered in the year? Second year, 6,000. Divided by the cash flows of the year in which the full amount is recovered. In the third year, the full amount is recovered, and what is the cash flows of that year? 12,000. Solve this, you will get the payback period at, okay, so that is in case of C. Now let us move on to D. For the project D, okay, for the project B, you can see for the project B what is happening over there is that since the amount of initial investment is recovered in the first year itself, the initial investment is 10,000 and it is recovered in the first year itself. That is the reason why in the case D also, the is equal to 1 year. Okay, now this is in case of payback period. Now let us solve ARR, that is accounting rate of return. Okay. Yes. So ARR, what is the formula? ARR is equal to average profits after tax and average initial investment. Okay. Now here, what is the profit? What were the cash inflows? In the first year, the cash inflows is 10,000. Cash inflows were 10,000, and what was the cash outflow? It was also 10,000. Divided by the life of the asset. Now, life of the project was what? It was 1. The whole divided by average initial investment. Initial investment was 10,000, so that divided by 2. That is average. So 10,000 was the initial investment minus 10,000 is the cash outflow. Sorry, 10,000 was the cash inflow. It is 10,000 you are getting in the first year after making the investment. And what was the investment made? It was 10,000. What is the life of this project? It was only for 1 year. What is the initial investment? 10,000. We have to take average, so we are dividing it with 2. Okay. So this you will get your ARR as 0 in the first case. In the second case, in the first year you are getting cash inflows of 7,500. In the second year you are getting the cash inflows of 7,500. 7,500 plus 7,500. What is your total cash inflow? 15,000. So ARR is equal to 15,000, that is your cash inflow, minus your initial investment is how much? It is 10,000. So initial investment you need to minus, divided by the life of the project. The life of the project over here is 2 years. Divided by initial investment average. Okay, average initial investment. After solving this, you will get the ARR of project B as 50%. Now let us move to project C. What is the cash inflow in case of project C? In the first year it is 2,000, in the second year it is 4,000, and in the third year it is 12,000. So the total is coming to around 18,000 minus the initial investment. The initial investment that you have made, which is 10,000, divided by the life of that project, which is 3 years, divided by average initial investment. That is 10,000 divided by 2. So you will get project C as 53%. Then moving on to project D. ARR is equal to, what is the cash inflows of the D project? 10,000 in the first year, 3,000 in the second year, and 3,000 in the third year. So the total cash inflow is 16,000. Less initial what is the ARR in this case? It is 40%. So we found out the ARR in all the projects. Now where is the ARR highest? It is in project C. So the first rank will go to project C, the second rank will go to project B, the third rank will go to project D, and the fourth rank, the last rank will go to project A in case of ARR. Okay? So for the A project, the first project, what is the IRR? For the B project, what is the IRR? For C and D, I want to find out what is the IRR, because for C and D, they are going to use trial and error method, and I want you all to experiment with it and come up with the answer. Okay? I will give you all the answer for this what is the IRR and for this what is the IRR. I will specify it to you all, but I want you all to experiment trial and error method and determine the rate. Okay? So the IRR at C is 26.5% and IRR at D is 37.6%. So I want you to experiment and compute the IRR at C and D project. It is using trial and error method. Okay? Whereas with respect to A and B, okay, the first step in IRR method is what? Calculation of payback period. It is nothing but initial investment divided by cash flows per annum. Initial investment is 10,000, cash flows is 10,000. So payback period you are getting 1, so you need to go and check where you will get 1. If you go to the present value annuity factor table, you will see you get 1 at 0%. Therefore the rate is 0%. Therefore your IRR over here is 0%. Okay? So that is with respect to A. Now moving on to B. Okay? So for B, let us find out the payback period. Step 1. In IRR, step 1 is we need to find the payback period. What is the initial investment? 10,000. What are the cash flows per annum? 7,500. What you are getting the payback period as 1.33. Okay? So payback period is 1.33 years. Now you need to go to the present value annuity factor table. In present value annuity factor table, try to see where you will get 1.33. If you check, you will get 1.33 for 2 years under. So 2 years is the life of the project. And the present value factor is 1.33. So under 2 years period, try to see where you are getting under present value annuity factor, where you are getting 1.33. If you see, you will get 1.33 at R is equal to 32%. Therefore your IRR is equal to 32%. Now you will ask that over here we are directly taking the rate that we are getting as IRR. Over here also the rate we are getting is 32% and we are directly taking it as IRR. If you have gone through the IRR problem, you will notice that we are not getting the exact value. Over here we are getting directly 1 in the present value annuity factor table. So we don't have to do the trial and error method. Here directly you are getting 1.33 at 32%. So you don't have to do trial and error method. In these two cases, you are not getting the value directly. That is the reason why you will do trial and error method to get the IRR rate. Okay? So if the value, that is the payback period value, that is 1.33, you are directly getting that value for that life, under that life period. Now the period of the project is 2 years. Under 2 years period, if you are getting the value directly in present value identity factor table, you don't have to go ahead. If the value is 1.33 and you are getting 1.33 in present value identity factor table, then you don't have to do trial and error method. You have to do trial and error method when the value is say 1.34, but in the present value identity factor table you are getting 1.33. Value is 1.34, but you are getting 1.33. In that case, there is a difference, right? That difference, in order to determine at what rate you will get, you need to do trial and error method. Okay? So trial and error method will be done only when you are not getting the value exactly at that rate. There is some difference between the value which is actually the payback period and the value which you are getting at that rate. Okay, like in the IRR problem, 10% was the rate. But at that 10%, were we getting exactly that amount? No, there was some difference. It was something 3 point something, and the value was also 3 point something, but it was not the same. There was some difference. It was 3.3 and it was 3.4. So there was some difference. That is the reason why we are using trial and error method. If there is no difference, you don't have to use trial and error method. The rate directly can be considered as IRR rate. Okay? I hope it is very much clear. Okay? So let us move on to
So now let us go to net present value. Okay. So net present value for project A, project B, project C and project D, how to go about with it. Now project A. Here cash flows, discount rate, discounted cash flows. Okay, so for the project A, there is only 1 year, and in the first year the cash flow is 10,000. Discount rate is and 10% they have asked us to find, and they have also asked us to find at 30%. So discount rate is at 10%, then discount rate and 30%, then discounted cash flows at 10%, discounted cash flows at 30%. Okay? So we have here, which is the first year, discount rate at 10% for first year. What is the discount rate? It is 0.909. Discount rate at 30% for first year. Discount rate as in present value interest factor table, you have to go check at 10% for first year what is the present value interest factor. Check at 30% for first year what is the present value interest factor. Now at 30% it is 0.769. Okay, then discounted cash flows at 10% is how much? Discounted cash flows at 10% will be cash inflows multiplied by the discount rate. So 10,000 multiplied by 0.909. What is the discounted cash flows? You are getting the discounted cash flows over here as what? That you are right over here. And over here what you are getting it as 090. You will get 9,090, 7,690. So 0.909 multiplied by 10,000, you will get the discounted cash flows. 0.769 multiplied by 10,000, you will get 7,690. So, what is the net present value? Net present value formula is what? Discounted or present value of cash flows minus initial investment. At 10% net present value, discounted cash flows at 10% is what? 9,090. minus initial investment is 10,000. So at 10% it is coming to negative 910. At 30% net present value, what is the discounted cash flows? 7690 minus initial investment was 10,000 is equal to negative 2310. Okay, so we got for project A. Now let us move on to project B. So here cash flows at 10% discount rate, at 30% discount rate, discounted cash flows at 10%, discounted cash flows at 30%. Discounted or present value cash flows, okay? Discounted or present value cash flows. Okay? So here, for project B, we have year 1, year 2. First year the cash flows are 7,500, second year the cash flows are 7,500. Discount rate at 10%. At 10% for the first year, it is 0.909. For second year, the discount rate is 0.826. So you need to go to present value interest table, present value interest factor table. Check at 10% what is the present value interest factor for first year, for second year. Similarly, we'll have to do for 30%. Go to the present value interest tables. Check the present value interest factor at 30% for year 1, for year 2. So, this you can find out. I will just do the 10% one, the 30% one you can do on your own, practice it. I'll just tell you the answer. Okay? So, 7,500 multiplied by 0.909, you will get a 10% the present value of the discount cash flows as 6,817.5. For the second year, you will get it as 6,195. What is the total? The total is 13,012.5. Okay? 1.5. So what is the net present value at 10%? It is the discounted or present value cash flows, which is 13,012.5 minus initial investment, which is 10,000. You will get 3,001.5 as your present value at 10%. Now the present value at 30%, you will get the answer as what? The present value at 30%. So the net present value at 30%, you should get the answer as positive 208. Okay, this is also positive. For this B project, once you solve this discount rate and once you solve this and you find the net present value, you will get the answer as positive 208. Okay. So now for project C and project D, I want you all to do it. Okay. You all should do the solution. I will give you all the answers. For project C, I'll write down the answers over here so that it becomes very easy for you all to cross check. Project C, project B. I want you all to solve this, okay? And the answer for 10% will be what? For 30% will be what? For project D, at 10% what will be the net present value? At 30% what will be the net present value? So for 10% for project C, the answer should be 4134. Whereas for project D, it will be 3821. For 30% it will be negative So these are the answers which you will get, but you all have to solve it the way I have solved for project A and project B. I want you all to solve for project C and project D. I have given the answers for all the projects. I want you all to solve the projects which I have not solved. If you all have any doubts with respect to that, you all can ask me. With respect to risk analysis in capital budgeting, I won't be covering any problems under that because we have to finish the third unit. Third unit is left, which is quite huge. So I will be starting tomorrow with the next unit, that is dividend decisions. However, one problem I will solve if I get time. I will definitely solve and I'll upload the solution, but at a later stage, not now. That is on decision tree. Okay, because it's very simple and you all can understand it very easily. I don't want to just push the information on you all. So I'll make sure that the third unit which I'll be covering, I will teach on what is very, very essential and very, very important for you all to study. Okay, so that's all for today.